All the constituents of our program, we also cater to the mental health of an individual, which ultimately helps an individual in case of working executives to affirm their right goals, identify their negative emotions, and create positive affirmations. Flexible counseling help reinforce behavior needed to improve the quality of life. A buddy and mentor who becomes part of your growth journey. In case of university students, it helps them deal with relationships better and put the right perspective, identifies one's negative emotions and worries and creates positive affirmations. Flexible counseling help reinforce behavior needed to improve their quality of life. For school students, it helps them deal with relationship issues better and put the right perspective to what's needed. Flexible counseling help reinforce behavior needed to improve their quality of life. A buddy, mentor who becomes a part of their growth journey and understands them when and how it's needed. So, along with all our other constituents, mental health is also considered essential and the issues are catered to.
About happiness in life. Consider that everything that we do about life and everything that we do in life is all about eventually being happy. Happiness is the ultimate goal of life. Levels of happiness could vary, but the higher the level of happiness, the best it works.
Favorite line that I always, love to talk about, and something that I love to use on myself is also that, there is nothing that can't be worked on, right? Everything in this world, almost everything, right? Almost everything is something that can be worked on, could be, developed, right? Could be improved. We as human beings have such amazing capabilities and capacity that once we identify a certain thing, we can definitely try to improve on the same.
If you're really, if it is paining you, probably it's not your strength area, it's a weak area, right? If maths pain you, probably maths is not your strength area. If you love talking with people, maybe communication is your strength area. So some of these things, you will know it yourself. Further, apart from that, do ask your friends. Please ask your friends, what do you think I'm really good at? And they will tell you, rattle down those 3-4 things that you're really good at. Ask your parents. And sometimes parents also tell, मेरा बेटा इसमें से बहुत अच्छा है, मेरा बेटा मैथ्स में अच्छा है, मेरा बेटा दोस्तों के साथ बहुत अच्छी तरह से रहता है. They keep telling these things oftenly without you noticing it. So whatever they repeatedly tell about you, good about you, is your strength area, right? So ask your teachers. Teachers observe you. They see your scores, they see your habits, they see your behaviors. Based on that, they will tell you what you're really good at. Second
so
thing,
what are the changes that's happened? Things that are looking very different is work from home may continue to be a way of life, because organizations have realized, people have realized that nothing, there are lots of things that can be done as well from home and possibly better. And those professions will perhaps continue to enjoy the benefit of working from home, if I might call that. Education and training have already gone digital, but there's a lot of scope of improvement. And with that, there would be a lot of training of the trainers that will come into play. We perhaps will not have to travel so much from work, because earlier we used to just take a flight for a 1-hour meeting to Chennai, or for some training session to attend in Dubai. And that's
the
definitely
way I look at analyzing work, or an analogy to work, is more to do with your mind, where you do your all logical things, your aspirations, everything is logical.
The message here is we all have our starting points, we have our journeys, and we have our destinations. So today it might look like we're not headed anywhere, but in the end, it will all work out. So there's no need to be disheartened at all, and it is absolutely fine to be an average. The second part of the story goes where it comes about finding your own mojo. While I was an average student, I ensured just one thing. I kept my desire to learn and keep that fire inside of me ignited. Whether it was traveling, meeting new people, or even exploring new cultures, it was all about upskilling myself for me. Although while learning, I didn't really know where that was actually heading to. But then, if I were to look back and think and connect the dots, I have the job that I have today only because of the skills and knowledge that I gained.
Does affirmation really work?
All right.
So,
So the first question is, do affirmations really work? Is it?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So is anybody here who's been using affirmations to maybe change their reality? First of all, how many people have read the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne? Can people in the audience let us know, have you all read the book? Anybody who's read the book The Secret? This is one of the most foundational books that talk about power of affirmations, power of positive thinking in creating your reality, and the power of your thoughts to change your physical world, outer world. Awesome. So we have few people saying yes. That's really awesome. So yes, people have heard and read about this book. So talking about if affirmations work or not, I would like to give you a brief background about the subconscious mind. So subconscious mind is like a genie, we could say it like that. So you command and it delivers. Whatever you say to it, it has the responsibility to deliver the same to you. So whenever you're saying something like, I am ugly, I am ugly, I am ugly, once they're thoughts and later on they become beliefs. Once they become beliefs, your actions according to that, you start acting according to your beliefs. So let's say somebody who thinks that they're ugly, they will also start to be underconfident while in public because they've been feeding to their mind this specific sentence. While these thoughts have become your beliefs, affirmations come in really handy. You can speak opposite statements of your negative beliefs. Something like, I am beautiful, I am beautiful. Slowly and gradually, what will happen? Your subconscious mind will take that as a command, and that will change your inner beliefs. And that is how your external reality also starts to change. You become a more confident person. People around you start to take you as a more serious person, start to take you more seriously like that. So yeah, affirmations do work because that has an impact on your subconscious mind.
Okay. Would you like to add anything, Ahan?
Yeah, certainly. So as Divya said, it affects your subconscious mind, and if you keep telling yourself, I'm ugly," that's who you'll become. And I actually made a video on this, a reel. I spoke. I'm sure everyone has watched the TV show Oswald, the cartoon.
Exactly. It used to be one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's amazing for kids. There was this episode where Oswald was learning how to skate, and then he was failing miserably in the beginning. But in the
Right.
end of that particular episode, he tells himself, "I can do it. I can do it," and he starts skating. So that's the message the show is trying to tell children. You are what you tell yourself. And yeah, I mean, personally, so I got roller skates when I was 6, 7 years old. So I tried the same thing that Oswald did in the store, and I was skating like that. Believe it or not, I never gone to any class. I started skating there, and yeah, everyone was like amazed and stuff. So yeah, I mean, definitely it affects your subconscious mind. And in today's day and age, I mean, a lot of young people, a lot of youngsters, I'm sure you guys have also seen people from the age 13 to 25 keep telling themselves, I hate my life is horrible, I'm useless, I'm this and that. And I mean, that is where their life is going. And 40 years later, a lot of people realize my life's gone. I've been wasting it by, criticizing myself rather than taking action and being positive and, talking, saying good things to myself and being kind. And in today's day and age, people say positivity is toxic. You can't always be positive, but you shouldn't be negative as well, right? I'd rather be positive or try to be more positive than fall into the negative side. And affirmations is definitely the first step.
all the constituents of our program, we also cater to the mental health of an individual, which ultimately helps an individual in case of working executives to affirm their right goals, identify their negative emotions, and create positive affirmations. Flexible counseling help reinforce behavior needed to improve the quality of life. A buddy and mentor who becomes part of your growth journey. In case of university students, it helps them deal with relationships better and put the right perspective, identifies one's negative emotions and worries and helps individual manage stress effectively.
A very warm welcome and good evening to everyone. Today the topic is mental health and emotional well-being in pandemic. It is rightly said, it's completely fine and okay to not be okay. So, on such a good note and in such a positive atmosphere, let's start today's webinar, Mental Health and Emotional Well-being in Pandemic, 20th June, Sunday. Steps to avail the e-certificate. A. Attend the complete webinar. B. When you see thank you on the screen, there will be appear a link to a Google attendance form in the chat box. Click to mark your attendance and get the feedback questionnaire email. C. Fill the questionnaire you get on mail for details. D. Follow our page. Whether you did or not is also in the questionnaire. If you did and replied in affirmative and actually did not follow our page, you will not get the e-certificate. If all the above steps are followed, then an online e-certificate will be issued to you. Mentor Mitra. Mentor Mitra is a mentoring organization where we take individuals ahead in the path of their journey from what they want to be, what they aspire to be, to what they actually are. We have various programs designed which are customized and standardized according to one's need and the amount of expectations they have. Let's introduce our first speaker of the day, Ms. Rachita Power, a counseling and industrial psychologist with profound experience in the domain. B. She has completed her education in the field from institution of prestige, including the University of Delhi, Mitr College of Arts, and St. Xavier's College. She has also conducted several workshops and webinars on the subject of psychology. We welcome you, Rachita ma'am. Please show us your insights.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me.
Rachita, you can start speaking.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So hi, I'm going to talk about how the well-being is being affected due to the COVID times. And I'm going to talk about the stress. Firstly, we all go through so much, and there's a lot of anxious thoughts, a lot of racing thoughts. We have a lot of sadness, tearness, and we're losing out on so many people these days. There's a lot of frustration and irritation that one goes through, and trouble relaxing. So it's very important to realize that, okay, it's fine that people go through it, but it's very important to realize that these can be taken care of. And the way you can protect is by acknowledging what you're feeling. Whatever you're feeling, acknowledge what you're feeling. Notice what is happening with you. Probably write down what you're feeling. The best thing about this is that when you write down what you're feeling, it's a lot more better because you're acknowledging your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. So acknowledge what you're feeling and write it down. And probably that's for journal writing. And probably challenge your stress into something more creative. If you like dancing, singing, baking, go for that. Challenge all your stresses into something more creative. Maintain your day-to-day activities, whatever your routine has been, whatever you do throughout the day. Maintain what you're doing. Go to your basics. Exercise. Meditation is really important. Do the meditation and practice mindfulness the most. And it's okay. Like I understand that we all go through so much, and we guys are not in a position to probably just even understand what is happening with us, and that's completely fine. But we have to understand that it's okay. Whatever is happening, we'll get through it because that's how it's supposed to be. And the steps to cope up is I've given the steps. The self-talk. So basically, the self-talk is very important. It said that whatever you're talking to the wall, when you're talking to the wall, it's completely fine. But when the wall talks to you, we will be a little more worried. So it's okay if you're talking to the wall. It's okay if you have you're talking to your own self. That's completely fine, and it's really important. You have to understand that whatever you're talking will affect how you're feeling. For example, there's a situation, and it's a very troublesome situation for me, probably like COVID. That COVID is here, so my self-talk might be that the COVID is here, I'm not feeling it right, and I might get COVID. That is the way I'm making myself feel anxious about stuff. But if I would say that, oh, the COVID is here, but I'm going to get through it and I will take my precautions and I'll be fine. So I am thinking ahead of what is going to happen. So the way you have your self-talk is the way you might change your situation and the way you might feel about things. So it's very important that you change your self-talk according to the situation because that's how it happens. When it's a scary situation, your self-talk is really scary, it's threatening. So it's really important that you change your language and you change the self-talk to yourself and you understand that it's okay, but it'll be fine. So there are two steps for self-talk. Either you think ahead or you make it in the worst case scenario. So when you think ahead, you will feel much better than feeling worse. And you basically understand, you basically believe what you tell yourself. There are so many times that we believe we have a lot of situations in front of us. There are a lot of wordings that come to us. We overthink. We overthink with words, with pictures. There's a scenario that's in front of us. And it's completely normal. You are not doing anything wrong. It's fine what you're feeling. It's fine how you're feeling it. But you need to realize that that is something that you can change because we believe what we think. So if you're going to change what you're thinking, if you're going to change how you tell yourself things, you will most definitely be at a better space. And then there are so many times that these online, be it Instagram or news, that might overwhelm us a lot. So we need to cut down on our news. We need to cut down on the intake of the news. We need to cut down on the news that is affecting us, that is making us feel negative. So you need to realize that this is something that is bothering me. You need to understand what is bothering you, and you need to move forward and make sure that you cut down on what you're seeing. Don't be obsessed. Probably, if you really want to know what's happening, you check the news once in the morning, once in the evening, but stop checking it throughout. That will overwhelm you. And if it does overwhelm you, probably talk to somebody who you know is the perfect source for you to know what is happening, how's the COVID outside. And you need to realize that this is not in your control. There's a thing called circle of control, things that are under our control and things that are not under our control. And these two things cannot be met. So the things that you cannot control are probably what other people think of you. What is the COVID outside? The kind of beds we have, if there's plasma, if there's vaccination. But what's under your control is your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, how you think about stuff, your self-talk. That is so important. So you need to realize that you cut down on the news, you take care of your own body, yourself. Because at the same end, if you don't take care of your own self, this will not be okay for your own self, because each one of us are so different. We take things the way we want to take. So you need to realize that it's okay. We're going to have a routine. We're going to be kind to ourselves, because this is how it is. We need to be kind to ourselves, and it's fine however we're thinking. And make a routine, have a proper realistic goals to be motivated to do what you want to do further on, and make sure that you exercise and do breathing exercises as well. Practice mindfulness, and that's going to keep you motivated throughout. Can I go with the questions in case?
The questions will be taken up at the end.
Okay, so yeah, this is it. This is what I had to talk about. These were the things that I was looking for. But if you want, I can talk about grief as well. I can go ahead with grief.
Yeah, sure. You can go ahead.
Okay. So grief is So there are so many times that we're losing out on people, and they're just not people. There are names that all of us are losing. So there's a thing called anticipatory grief. That is when you're ready for a loss. And grief is very personal to you. Don't let anybody tell you how to feel. It's your loss. It's your personal loss. There's nobody who can ever tell you how to feel. And it's a process. You cannot get okay probably in a day or two or 5 or a minute. It's a process. You're going to take your time. There are stages that we call it in our psychology, that is denial. You're going to denial. You're going to be in denial that, okay, I don't understand. This never happened with me. I can't believe this happened. Anger. You feel really angry. You're not able to take what has happened with you. Then you start bargaining. You start telling that, okay, you get the person back to me and I'll make sure I do this. You bargain in your own way. There's depression or sadness. However, depression is basically the extreme of sadness. Then is acceptance by the end. So it's a process. You cannot suddenly accept what you're feeling. You cannot suddenly accept that you've lost somebody. So don't let anybody tell you how to feel, and support yourself emotionally. Take care of yourself physically, because if you're stressed out because of such a situation, it just does not affect you mentally, but stress definitely affects you physically as well. We have stomach issues, back issues, and that happens because of stress. Talk to people who give you support. It's okay. Don't expect the emotions to come just in a day or two. You might have very, very unpredictable emotions. Don't let anybody tell you how to feel. If something is bothering you till date, it's been a while and you're not able to get out of it, talk to a therapist, have a routine, and do your basics. I understand it's a position that you cannot go through it, but to make yourself feel better, have a routine, and don't let anybody tell you how to feel. And I'm sure you'll take a while, but it's a process. You'll be okay. Talk to a therapist, and if things are not working out, obviously therapist is there for you. But make sure that whatever you're feeling is completely personal to you, and there's nobody who can tell you how to feel. That's it.
Thank you, Rashida, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have like a lot of questions we'll be asking you at the end for sure.
For
We
sure.
now
For
welcome
sure.
our next speaker for the day. Before that, this is our Mentor Mitra's app link. You guys can click on this link and visit to our page, and you can download our self-help app as well, which is there. The scan presenting to you our app Mentor Mitra. The app is available on Play Store. Second, you can download the app only on Android and not iOS. Three, the download is free of cost, but the programs inside are paid. Fourth, app is available in India, Philippines, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Italy, Malaysia, Nepal, Russia, Spain, Thailand, and will be launched in other countries soon. Kindly download our app and get help in your career as well. Seven, if you have any queries with the app or anywhere otherwise, please feel free to contact us or drop a mail at contact@mentormitra.com or connect@mentormitra.com, and we'll be happy to answer you. Presenting to you Miss Arzu. We welcome you, Miss Arzu. About Miss Arzu, she's currently training to be a trauma certified specialist, a psychotherapist with a MSc in counseling psychology. She was 16 years old when she had her own experience with therapy. She dreamt of a world where we can talk about therapy as easily as we talk about going to the gym, and she figured that one way to do that is for more people to learn about it in relatable ways. And so she created at the rate Don't Mind the Mind to be a space where one can provide people with content on mental health, which helps in breaking the stereotypes and giving light on actual facts. We could all benefit from knowing more about it and talking more about it, because while you may not be affected directly, you probably know someone who is. Miss Arzu, thank you
Hi,
for enlightening us. Hi, Miss Arzu.
thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay, so firstly, I have to start with thanking the Mentor Mitr team for reaching out to me and giving me this opportunity to speak here today. And I would like to thank Rachita on her insights so far. Okay, so since today's conversation is about mental and emotional well-being, I would like to just get started with exactly understanding what it means to be mentally healthy or emotionally healthy, right? Because there seems to be, the basic definition seems to be for people that the absence of a mental illness means that they are mentally healthy, whereas that is not true. Being mentally healthy and mental wellness has various components. Emotional wellness is a part of being mentally healthy, psychological well-being, social well-being, and within those components, there are multiple things. For example, understanding yourself, knowing what your needs are, knowing what your emotions are, being able to communicate your emotions correctly, and being able to even hear another person's emotions out and their own needs in an empathetic manner, knowing how to cope with challenges, knowing your strengths, but also knowing your limitations, knowing when to draw the line, when to draw a boundary, knowing how to draw a boundary. All of this is a part of mental and emotional well-being. And so um, being mentally healthy is not just an important topic for someone who has a mental illness. It's an important topic for all of us because all of us have mental health. And then the components that I just spoke about, they go on to influence various aspects of our life. For example, our productivity levels, our ability to relate with people, our relationships with our family members, with our friends, with our romantic partners, at work, with our bosses, colleagues, etc. It impacts our mood, it impacts our sleep, which can then impact our problem solving skills. It impacts what choices we make. And so that is why mental well-being is extremely important, because it has an impact on every sphere of our life. And if we don't give it the attention it genuinely deserves, and if we decide that it's just mental health and I can just suppress it or repress it, I can avoid it, I can just tune it out and it'll disappear, we can go ahead and think that, and maybe you will suppress it somehow, but your body won't. Your body will feel it for you, and your body will force you to pay attention, And these issues will go on to manifest themselves in physical forms. And those physical forms could be anything. It could be frequent headaches, it could be stomach issues, it could be gut issues, insomnia, muscle tension, difficulty breathing, trembling, high BP, all these things. And because we don't pay attention to the core reason why these are happening, we start to kind of treat these issues independently. And so if we're having a headache, we'll take a medicine for the headache. If the headache isn't going away, we'll go see a doctor. Or, if you're having a gastro issue, we'll go see a specialist, we'll get tests done, and those issues don't go away. And that's because there is another reason, and we're not addressing the reason for those issues. And so we will get blood tests, and we will get scans, and we will see specialist after specialist and doctors. And in the end, when we've run out of options and when we have feel defeated or hit rock bottom, that's when we decide to seek therapy. And in most cases, people don't even decide to seek therapy then. And even though therapists should be among the first few people you consider, they end up being the last, and in some cases not even that. So this brings me to why that may be. Why is it that mental health is undermined and not given as much importance as physical health, even though it's actually not even equally important? It is the same, it's correlated. There are multiple reasons to this. One is because mental health is not as visible as a physical illness. And so we seem to have an easier time being able to accept something that's more tangible and more present. And we can easily accept and empathize when we can visibly see someone who is hurt, someone who is injured, someone who's visibly sick. But mental illnesses are often called invisible diseases because people who do have them may not seem like they have them. And on the face of it, we don't see the person struggling or what they're going through. And so for some reason, maybe that makes it difficult for us to not be able to relate or get an understanding of what they're experiencing and how valid that experience is. Another reason why mental illness is probably more undermined as compared to physical illnesses is because we're not able to understand sometimes the root cause of it or answer the question why. And so when we can't clearly outline a reason or a direct cause, it leads us to invalidate the mental illness, even though that is not how it should be. I mean, let's take, for example, the analogy of cancer. There are multiple reasons why someone has cancer, right? Sometimes there's a direct cause and effect as to someone who smokes a lot has lung cancer, or there is someone who has like direct exposure to a toxic environment and they have cancer, or someone who has had cancer that runs in their family and so it is genetic. And then there are people who have cancer for absolutely no apparent reason, but that doesn't make their cancer any less painful or valid or real than the people who had a clear reason why. And mental illnesses work the same way. There are various reasons, yes, and we can try to kind of neatly put them in boxes of a chemical imbalance or past life experience or trauma or whatever. But the reality is that it is a lot more complex than that. And there are things that happen to people which researchers and psychologists don't have an answer for, but that doesn't make their experience any less real or true. And that is something we need to understand, that it doesn't always have to seem like someone has a problematic past and so it is valid that they are depressed. That's not how it works. And of course, one of the main reasons for the underestimation of severity of mental illnesses is the stigma that surrounds it. At the end of the day, that stigma can come from ourselves, it can come from the people around us, it can be words which are just not helpful. For example, just get over it, or like you have to be strong, you just need to learn how to be strong, or everyone goes through it, I've been through it, but I was strong about it, and if I can do it, you can do it. And these things are not really helpful. And as it is, the person who is going through something is having a tough time, and then it becomes an added burden for that person to sit and have to tune out these conversations that other people are saying about it being a sign of weakness and it being a symbol of shame. And over and above what they're already dealing with, they have to deal with the responsibility of turning the volume down to that conversation and take that step of seeking therapy, which shouldn't be their job. It shouldn't be their added burden to have to tune out those people. It should be our job to be educated about it, to know how to respond to people when they come to us with an issue, to know how to be helpful, to know how to be empathetic to something like this. So yeah. Now, coming to the next topic that I'd like to cover, which is the pandemic and how the pandemic has directly impacted mental health and emotional well-being. Why is it that during the pandemic, it has gotten so much worse, right? We all know that there are a lot more cases of mental illnesses. We all know that a lot more people are finally reaching out to seek help, but why exactly is that happening? And one of the way to understand this is to basically understand how stress and anxiety really works, right? So when we experience something or we're exposed to a particular stimulus, our brain brain perceives as dangerous, it deploys something known as a stress response, right? And that stress response releases this hormone called cortisol that alerts the body that it's in danger. And that is the basic understanding of stress response and what healthy anxiety actually is. And this stress response and anxiety actually exists, evolutionarily speaking, for survival purposes. It's what we need to survive. It's what we need to cope. It's what we need to be able to differentiate between what is dangerous and what is not. And so it is that healthy anxiety that motivates us to prepare for an exam that we are nervous about. It is that anxiety that makes sure we look on both sides of the road before we cross it. And so we need it. But what happens when, what is the explanation behind the people who have anxiety or panic for no apparent reason? And that happens because there are times when our brain incorrectly assesses a situation to be dangerous or threatening, even when it's not. And that process is not a conscious process. It's not something that one can help. And the brain just picks up certain things from the environment and decides that they are dangerous and threatening and signals the body and releases the stress response and the cortisol hormone. And so the body thinks it's in danger. And so we recruit the same survival mechanisms that we have used maybe in the past for something else, which may have worked for us, but it is not required in this particular situation because we are not in danger. And rather than being helpful, it ends up becoming a problematic response. That is where the concept of unhealthy anxiety comes in. Now, how does a pandemic lead to an increase in this unhealthy anxiety? So that's because the more often that that part of our system gets activated, where we perceive a threat and we release the cortisol, and the faster our nervous system starts to react to it. And it becomes easier and easier for our nervous system to access that response. And so as the frequency of that threat increases, our response time will decrease. And so there may be times that is happening when you're actually in danger, but there may be times when that's happening when you're not in any danger. And in a pandemic, we are faced with multiple reasons why we get stressed. First and foremost being just how it began. I mean, it came out of nowhere. There was no clear start to it. We didn't know what medicines work for it. Then we were anxious about people around us testing positive, if we've interacted with those people, our family testing positive, elders testing positive, we ourselves testing positive, what precautions should one take, and whether one should get the vaccine or not. If yes, which vaccine should we take? Should we wear one mask? Should we wear two masks? What's going to happen about my job? What am I going to handle? How am I going to take care of my family, my financials? There's so many things. And so we're repeatedly having that stress response. And sometimes maybe it's justified, but sometimes it's not. But it is totally natural for us to become more and more used to having that stress response and get anxious and respond that way. And that is why it is normal, understandable, natural, and common for something like anxiety to get worse during a pandemic. Now, there are many other reasons. Social isolation is one of the major reasons as well. As human beings, we thrive on physical connection. And I don't necessarily mean interacting with a large group of people or going for parties. It's just interacting with even one of your loved ones, your partner, your friends. It has a direct impact on our dopamine levels, and that physical connection is something that was taken away from us when we had to socially isolate. And so that can have a direct impact on our mood, which is why, you hear people say stay in touch, and it's important to make sure you call your friends or have video calls, and just make sure that you stay in touch in other ways, if not physically, so that it can help with your mood, because it does. Also, I think most of us don't understand that a pandemic also qualifies as a traumatic experience. Trauma experiences, had someone experienced, one big bad event, it would be a lot easier and, natural for us to be like, yeah, that's only natural that you're having this issue because, you've gone through something so major. But a trauma event is not just limited to the loss of a loved one or one big bad event or an exposure to some sort of assault or something. Trauma can come in all shapes and sizes, and it means different things for different people. Sometimes it's an end of a relationship, sometimes it is the loss of a loved one, sometimes it's a natural disaster and a global pandemic as well. And so it is totally understandable that it leads to disruption of our mental health. Now, coming to the last bit of our conversation, I would like to leave you with some signs and symptoms which could be early indicators of burnout or breakdown. And so that, if at all you are seeing these signs in yourself or someone you know that this is the time to start paying attention to your mental health and it needs attention. So, feeling fatigued or for no apparent reason is a major one. Feeling detached, a loss of motivation, feeling kind of, a loss of sense of accomplishment, decreased satisfaction in what you're doing, disturbed sleep patterns. If you're noticing that your personal space is starting to get unorganized, or, your loss of respect for your self-hygiene, all these things fall into that bracket. Increased reliance on external substance use like alcohol or drugs, or unhealthy eating habits where your eating is irregular or you're binging. All these things are signs and symptoms of a burnout or a breakdown. Also, of course, physical symptoms like headaches, BP, gut issues, breathing issues, sweating, shaking, trembling, all of these. So this is what I'd like to share, and I hope that I was able to add some value to the listeners' time. Looking forward to the questions now.
Thank you so much, Arzu ma'am, for this wonderful insights. I'm sure it has really helped a lot of people. I would like to go ahead with the question and answers. Before that, am I audible? Rachita ma'am, Arzu ma'am?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll ask the first question. If your friend is not ready to go to a therapist, or rather he or she is not in the facility that she can avail one, how can you as a friend or as a closed one support him or her?
Okay.
You want to go ahead first? Then I'll say it's okay.
Okay. All right. So as a friend, there are two reasons why we want someone to seek help. One is because you see that they are outrightly struggling and you want them to receive help. And so there are sensitive ways of broaching that topic and asking them if they are seeking for your advice. And then, you can say that, I've heard that therapy works and maybe it's something you'd like to try. And you have to be there even if the answer is no, I don't. Because it is a very personal journey. And as much as you have their best interest at heart, it is not your journey to take, and that is something we have to be aware of. Secondly, if they are not able to seek therapy because they don't have the resources, then definitely do your research, because there are a lot of therapists out there who provide, at reasonable rates or on a sliding scale, and there are ways to do now video sessions and this and that. So accessibility is not hard. But the second reason why we want someone to get help is because probably we are getting impacted by the issues they are having. It could be someone in our family, it could be someone from our friends, and their illness is, affecting us in detrimental ways. When that is happening, yes, you do tell them that seeking help is an option and they should seek it, but also you need to know that you can draw your own boundaries with them as well, because if they do refuse to seek help, it is not on you, and that doesn't justify, you know, them affecting you in a certain way. And if that is happen, there is nothing wrong with drawing a boundary and deciding for yourself that this is impacting me this way and I cannot handle this to this extent. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree to it. And moreover, I think there's no alternative to a therapy. The kind of therapies we use and the kind of non-judgmental environment or the environment that we have is, I think, is not anywhere else. Trust me, that 1 hour, I think it's my most favorite at times. And I think if you want to do it for your own self, if you don't want to go for a therapy for XYZ reason, which can be taken care of, I'm sure, I think practice mindfulness, do a lot of yoga, and do journal writing if that helps you. But I think there's no alternative to a therapy. So if not forever, at least I think go for one session and see how it feels. So that one should help.
Thank you, Rachita ma'am. Thank you, Arzu ma'am.
Thank you.
My next question is, how do you sometimes have to keep yourself mentally happy? As it is, there are going to be things like initially you might not be stable with the relationships you have. Then it might be a career which is not something you desire. Then maybe the married life. So the cycle goes on. So when can you actually say you are mentally healthy if at every stage you have something which is not working according to you or what you want? Rachita ma'am, please go first.
So I think there's no definition to you being mentally healthy. There's no like thin line to it. There's no like a process or oh, these are the pointers. If this is there, then you're healthy. All of us are going through something or the other. There are a few things that are very minute to us, and there are a few things that are very serious. So I think before making sure that it reaches the seriousness, take your prevention already. If there's something even as small as not getting over something, self-confidence, your self-worth, something that bothers you even a little, go for it. But taking care of yourself, I think eat healthy, practice good hygiene, exercise, do mindfulness, and stay in touch with the people who make you feel positive, and use all the relaxation techniques to make sure that you're taking care of your own self first and then somebody else. But I think there are no pointers to make sure that, oh, you're healthy, you're not healthy. If something is bothering you, it's okay, take a step, and I'm sure your therapist will be there for you. So
Yeah, and just to add to what Rachita said, mentally healthy doesn't mean being happy. It is actually the acceptance of the fact that we do have multiple emotions and multiple experiences, and the ability to actually experience each emotion as it comes to you is an indicator of you being able to handle yourself. Just someone who is constantly being able to look at the bright side or be positive is most definitely not the sign of being mentally healthy. And I think we forget that, self-care, as everyone talks about these days, is not just about, oh, loving yourself and I'm always happy and, preaching all these things. It is about self-acceptance. It is about knowing that these are also my limitations, or that this is a struggle I'm facing, and accepting it. And if you're truly, in fact, mentally healthy or happy, if you'd like to call it, you will have moments where you cry, or you will have moments where you break, because that's what you need. And the ability to be able to distinguish that, yeah, this is what I need to express, or I need to talk to someone, get help, cope with it a certain way. That is a better way to look at being mentally healthy and happy than just someone who is constantly just able to be like smile through everything. That is not exactly the way one would define it. That's kind of, I would say, problematic. So yeah.
Thank you, Arzu ma'am. Thank you, Rachita ma'am. That really helped us. I would like to next question. Please answer, Rachita ma'am. So as we can have more questions if either of you answer.
yeah.
If you are hurting yourself already, is it called a mental disorder?
Depends if you're hurting yourself physically or just hurting yourself by the self-talk that you're telling yourself. These are two different things. There are things that I might tell myself that are hurting me. That's not a disorder. It's just my self-talk is not letting me accept what is happening. My self-talk is making me negative. And if I'm hurting myself physically, definitely go to a therapist. There's a root cause to it. I'm sure there's no disorder. Suddenly, there's no disorder. It needs to go on for a few months. It needs to go on for a few weeks. There's a certain time to it. So if you do it once, it's not a disorder. There might be a time that you must be in a situation that you're not able to cope up. And this was your coping mechanism. Like we see a lot of people doing it, which is not correct. But it's very important to understand that, okay, you don't have a disorder, but before something does happen, I think go to a therapist or talk to somebody and understand the root cause to it if you're hurting yourself. And I'm sure with all the therapies and all the techniques that we use, you'll be at a better place and it's not a disorder suddenly. So don't call yourself that, oh, I have a disorder because I did it once. It's okay. You might not be able to cope up, but make sure that you seek help and you are at a better place.
Thank you, Rachita ma'am. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Arzu ma'am, we have a question. How to identify the onset of a mental illness in case of a neurotic disorder like anxiety, depression, and OCD?
Okay. All right. So firstly, I did towards the end of the talk, I was talking about some signs and symptoms of early signs of a breakdown or a burnout. Those are signs where if you are experiencing them or seeing someone who experienced them, that is a sign to pay attention to your mental health because something is not right. However, when it comes to onset of anxiety or depression or OCD, I think it's best that the person who's experiencing it doesn't get involved with the label of the disorder or what this is or what this means. It's the feeling it's giving you. And if it's causing disruption in your life, if you're unable to carry out your work correctly, if you're unable to feel a certain level of contentment, there is something you need to address. And it's less about the label of, oh, I maybe have depression, oh, I have anxiety, oh, I have ADHD. It doesn't matter what you have. It matters that you are not okay. And the only way to fix that is to seek help. And so you seek help and let the therapist and whoever professional deal with what it is and what they can do best for you. Make sure you educate yourself on what can be warning signs, educate yourself on what is outside of the norm. And yeah, deal with it as it comes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rachita ma'am, how do we care about our mental health even if there is a possibility of no underlying psychological condition?
Okay, so the self-care basically that I think all of us need to take care of. So firstly, eat healthy, exercise regularly, and it's not just important because, oh, I want to do it, I want to go to the gym, look nice or something. Definitely, if you're healthy physically, mentally also, you'll be automatically, if you're reconnected basically. If I'm healthy physically, I'm gonna feel good about myself. I'm not gonna feel that, oh, this is happening, that is happening. And if I'm healthy mentally, definitely I'm not going to have any physical symptoms. And try to do something that you enjoy. Like I mentioned also that whatever stress you have, I think challenge it into something more creative. If you like dancing, painting, baking, challenge it into something more creative and get into a hobby. Find ways to relax. You like swimming, you like yoga, you like mindfulness. There are so many videos and you can talk to your therapist also. There's so many exercises, deep breathing exercises that are very helpful. So keep doing that. Make sure it's a part of your life and you taking care of yourself. And you're not just making sure that you're just looking healthy physically, but you're making sure that everything that you do helps you mentally as well. So it's very important that way.
Thank you, ma'am. If you guys want to add something, Rachita ma'am and Arzu ma'am, you guys can.
Rachita, you have anything to say?
The next question is how to recognize issues like. Hello?
Yeah.
Sorry. How to recognize issues like eating disorders that can often come as a result of their diet culture.
Okay, so how to recognize if you have an eating disorder? Is that the question?
Yeah, I think so. That is it. How to recognize that you have it? Yeah.
Okay, so firstly, just like to give a quick trigger warning to anyone who's listening, because eating disorders can be a sensitive topic, and if you're tuned in and if that is something that impacts you, maybe you can turn the volume down for a few minutes, or join back in a couple of minutes. Okay, so eating disorder is a very broad term for a lot of multiple disorders that fall into it, which can be for multiple reasons. Diet culture is one thing, but there are many, many reasons why. It can be a symptom of something else. It can be something, like a coping mechanism. There are many reasons why eating disorders happen, and the kind of toll they can take. I think how you can identify you have an eating disorder is something the person who's experiencing it, they know. They know when they have an unhealthy relationship with the food they're eating, whether it is that they're not eating enough, whether it is that they're eating it and then throwing up, or whether it is that they are restricting themselves to the point where they are so unhappy, and then it results in them binging days later and then feeling guilty about it and then restricting themselves, and the cycle repeats. The person who's experiencing it does know to a certain extent that that is happening, and also it does start to impact your health very heavily. Eating disorders can have major shifts in your weight. It can have major shifts in your physical symptoms, basically headaches, sleep. For there are many physical symptoms, and so if not the relationship with food, it's those symptoms which will cause an alarm in you, and hopefully you will listen to them and seek the right help and go to someone who is a specialist in that field. This is not something I specialize in, but to my limited knowledge, this is what I'd like to say. But yeah, for someone who is experiencing it, please do your research and go to someone who specializes in something like this. Not all of us know how to handle these situations, and not all of us are equipped to deal with them either.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question for the day would be, in pandemics, someone can be addicted to drugs or something which is not healthy emotionally as well as mentally. How do you cope up with that since it's become overdue or overtime for this day?
Okay, so I think that is basically a lot of people self-medicate themselves by these alcohol or drugs, thinking that, oh, I'll have it, I'll be at a better space. Probably that's for the moment, but not in the long run. So it's very important to realize this is not correct. If that is really a problem that you keep having it every day, it's definitely not in your hand. Seek professional help, and probably people do specialize in that. And there's so many rehabs and everything in case one wants to go. There's no bad space in this. You've got therapies there. There's so many activities. So it's literally a problem, then go for it. And if it's something that you're going for it, so I think challenge again it into something more different. If you know that, oh, I'm going to have an alcohol right now, so probably go out and take a walk or meet a friend. So find your alternatives and make sure that the alternatives are healthier, and don't self-medicate. People do medicate themselves thinking that they're going to be fine after this, which is most definitely not the safest and the healthiest option. And that's going to lead to a lot of addiction. So make sure that when you realize that you are self-medicating, you take professional help and you get into different things than this.
Thank you so much, Rashida ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, Arzu ma'am, that's a question. Actually, how should I maintain myself as all the responsibilities are upon my shoulder? And in such situations, how do you even try to think about yourself?
Okay, this is where like the classic boundary situation comes in. It is very important that we remember, I like to give this analogy of like a bank account, and we have a certain amount of credit in our account, and every day we are making withdrawals from that account, be it for our family, be it for our work, be it for our friends, our partners, our health, so our kids, so many things, and we keep withdrawing, and at some point that balance is going to reach a neutral or go into a negative. And so if you don't do something to maintain and increase it and deposit amount back into it, you will reach a level where you've run out of resources to be able to provide for anyone else. And so it is important. I don't say that, oh, like, only look at yourself first and put yourself first, but it has to work together. So if you are withdrawing for people around you, you have to make sure, that's where self-care and all these things come in. You have to make sure you do things for yourself to help maintain that credit limit, be it taking rest, be it drawing a boundary, be it taking only the amount of work which is realistically possible for you, being able to, you know, be present for your friends on particular days or from this time to that time. You need to figure out what you know, works for you and which area you need help in. But yeah, that is why it's important, and we just need to make sure it all works together, not just providing for other people but providing for ourselves as well.
Thank you so much, Arzu ma'am. Rachita ma'am, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Can you recommend some ways where we can every day be better, like affirmations or journaling? You already mentioned, but something
Yeah.
more, more expressive or more comprehensive.
So I think every day we evolve, be it today or tomorrow. Like every day we all evolve as a person anyway. But to make sure, definitely, like I said, journal writing, that's going to make it more healthier for you. Get into meditation, mindful exercises, do yoga. If you don't like yoga, probably go for dance classes or take up a hobby that you enjoy. That's definitely, if someday you have stress, also at least you can challenge it into something different. That is the hobby that you've taken up. Make sure that you eat healthy, you have a routine. Basically, you know, when are you getting up on time and what is your day like. So make sure that you have a proper routine that's even going to keep you motivated and focused, and you're not going to procrastinate like I think all of us are these days. So make sure that you have a routine, you have something to look forward to, and that way, that's the way you can actually understand that, oh, prioritize everything, that what is important to me, what is not important to me. So prioritizing yourself and the things that are important to you, exercising, meditation, practicing mindfulness, journal writing, it is very important. And I think I will say it like 100 more times, but yes, it is very important. Do that and take up a hobby that you think that will make you happier every day. And it's okay, even if there are days you're not happy, trust me, it's very normal, it's healthy actually. So it's fine.
Thank you, Rachita ma'am.
Thank
Arzu
you.
ma'am, a question for you. There are certain times when you unfortunately have to choose a career path you do not want, and there is no turning back at it, despite of you being passionate about something else. So in such situations, can you try to be happy or positive, where one of the major thing might not be the thing you aspire to do?
Okay, so I guess this question is quite situational. It really depends why you can't leave it or whatever. But let's say hypothetically you can't, and there is a reason you've chosen that particular profession. Maybe you can prompt yourself and ask yourself, why did I go with this profession in the first place? What benefit am I getting by sticking with this profession? What would be the disadvantage if I don't stick with this profession? And you know, based on the answers, see how you feel. If there is no particular reason or no benefit this profession is getting you, and it is only getting you unhappiness, and there is no clear reason why you can see that you've stuck by it, then I'm sure there is an alternative path to take. Maybe it is still not the path you always thought you wanted to take, but maybe it's something else. But self-reflection and kind of breaking it down into smaller questions for yourself and understanding the why can help us come to some level of acceptance, or maybe change the whole idea altogether.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Rachita ma'am, one of the last question for you.
All
So,
right.
so basically, the question says something like, if around you everything is negative, they have given an example as loss of a loved one. In such
Hmm.
situations, how do you calm yourself or just manage being okay, not even happy, just being okay?
Hmm. 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 Yeah. So like I spoke about grief, it's very normal to take your time. It's very personal to you. There's no time limit. There's no like, you, I will be fine in a month or in a few days. It's fine. It's very personal to you. It's very personal. And whatever you're feeling, it's completely fine. It's a process, like I said, that there's a lot of denial, there's a lot of anger, depression, bargaining, and then acceptance. So even if you take a very long time, it's okay, but take therapy because that's going to be helpful. But to make sure that at least you keeping up with yourself, it's okay. Understand that whatever emotions, there might be very unpredicted emotions that are going to come up. You might cry suddenly, or you might react in a certain manner that you're not supposed to. And you might not even be happy with what you're doing. So it's okay, understand that these emotions will come up. Don't let anybody tell you how to feel. Whatever you're feeling is completely justified and it's so personal to you. Don't let anybody tell you how to feel. Take your time. It's okay. Everybody takes a while. There's no hurry. There's no time limit. Talk to your loved ones. Be around the people who make you smile. Be around people who make you feel positive, and write whatever you're feeling. Because so why am I saying to write all the time is because you're gonna pour your heart out firstly, and obviously talking to a friend and writing whatever you feeling and thinking are very different from each other. So I would recommend that before you sleep, probably write what you're feeling, and I'm sure that you're gonna sleep well and you're gonna wake up better. So I think these are the things, and it's okay. There's no time limit. You can take a while, and if it gets a little more serious, seek therapy because we do take care of that. So
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Argu, ma'am,
thank
the
you.
last question for you as well before we end it. So, the last question says that if you have gone through a mental breakup after a long term relation, maybe it with anyone, or maybe some really close ones, then there is a lot of denial stage in the start, and you have acceptance acceptance and comments like, this could have been better, that could have been done. So, how do engulf all these thoughts and situations and then finally come out of it being okay with the thought whatever has been is for the good?
Okay, so an end of a relationship, be it with a partner or in whatever way, an end of anything that terminates where you had a particular future in mind, is a loss, and it is treated as grief. It is not. Breakups are tough. They're really tough, and they're not to be taken lightly at all. And they take, like Rachita alluded to earlier, these things don't have a timeline and they don't have a right or wrong way to deal with them. A breakup or an end of, loss of a job, all these things fall under the same category of grief. Now, the whole experience of, the denial and bargaining and acceptance, yes, these are things that people experience, but there are people who don't experience it in such a neat and linear manner, and that is okay. You need to kind of give yourself the time that everybody deals with these things differently, and it looks different for everyone. There will be days where you think you are completely over it and on top of the world, and then there will be days where you're sitting in your car and suddenly a song comes on and you are like crying and you're back to square one. But that doesn't mean that there is no progress there or that you're back to stage one or something like that. We need to know that this is not as neat as we may think. Secondly, when it comes to people's perspective, I think we can very clearly draw a boundary and tell someone that right now I'm not prepared to hear what I could have done or what should have happened, or how one should have treated something. Right now I am hurting and I'm upset and I'm not exactly in the place where I can listen to this sort of feedback. And when I am, I will come back to you, because while those things that our friends say or our colleagues say are well intentioned, they have not lived through that experience, and there's only so much they can understand at the end of the day, and their judgment is biased by the experiences that you've told them. And usually our friends and other people hang on to the negative aspects that you talk about, but you are the one who's lived through the positives, and you will take more time. And so it is totally okay to tell them that right now this is not what I need. When I do, and when I feel like I'm safe and comfortable enough to start thinking along those lines, then I will.
Thank you so much. Rachita ma'am, would you like to weigh in?
I think what she said was completely correct. That it takes a time. It takes a certain time, and it's no like 1 month, 10 days, we'll be fine. It takes a while, be it a breakup or a loss of job, or you lose somebody during the pandemic, like we've lost so many people. That does kind of come under grief. And it's very important to be kind to yourself. It's okay. You want to take your time. You want to take a while, and don't let anybody again tell you, even if it's a breakup, don't let any friend tell you how to feel. I'm sure you're going to feel very differently from what she does. So you take your time and probably again, the 1,000 times, write it, what you're feeling, probably go through journal. And if really it bothers you a lot and it's leading to a lot more stress and anxiety and other issues, I think go to a therapist and don't Google stuff. I think that's something I would want to say. Don't Google, because a small thing will also lead to something more crazy. Or like, I don't want to name it like cancer or something. It's that crazy. So don't Google. I think even if you message a therapist or somebody telling your symptoms, I'm sure they'll help you better knowing what the qualifications are. And don't Google and come to conclusions that this is happening. Take your time. It's okay. It's very personal to you, and there's nobody who can tell you how to feel. But take professional help in case.
Thank you so much, Rachita ma'am and Arzu ma'am, for answering all these questions and being so patient. I mean, I did understand our audience questions were getting even a little repetitive. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I would like to repeat the steps to avail the e-certificate. A, attend the complete webinar. B, when you see when you see thank you on the screen, there is a pop-up, and there you'll be getting the attendance link. Please fill that. C, fill the questionnaire and input your details. D, follow our page and be very honest. If you have replied in affirmative and you really do not have done it, we wouldn't be able to issue an e-certificate to you. If all the above mentioned steps are there, an e-certificate will be automatically issued to you. We thank you so much for attending this. We thank our great audience, especially, and post that we thank Arzu ma'am and Rashita ma'am for giving time on a Sunday evening and helping us. You guys can get in touch with us on our website, which is there. You can contact us on this number or email us at contact@mentormitr.com. We're also having our presence on Instagram as well as Facebook. Thank you for attending the webinar. We're really thankful. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.